General Hospital spoilers for Wednesday, April 22nd predict. What if the person Sunny is choosing to trust is exactly the person who could destroy everything from the inside? I know that sounds extreme, but I think there's more going on here than we're being shown. So let me break this down the way I see it. From my perspective, Wednesday's episode is setting up multiple emotional explosions at once, and I don't think any of them are isolated. I feel like every storyline is quietly feeding into another. We've got Rick warning Sunny. We've got Sidwell possibly manipulating from the shadows. We've got Lulu under pressure. We've got Dante circling the truth. We've got Rocco sitting on a secret that could destroy his entire family. And somehow Britt, Jordan, Brooklyn, all of them feel like ticking time bombs in their own way. I think this episode isn't about what happens. It's about what's about to unravel. Let's start with Sunny and Ethan. I think this is where everything begins. Rick warns Sunny. That's important. And I feel like Rick isn't just being paranoid here. I think he sees something that Sunny refuses to see. Because Sunny, he's convinced. He believes Ethan isn't working for Sidwell. He believes Ethan is actually Sidwell's enemy. He believes Ethan could be the perfect ally in taking down Sidwell and even Cullum. And honestly, I feel like Sunny wants to believe that. Not because it's true, but because it's convenient. I think that's the part that worries me the most. Because when Sunny decides to trust someone, he doesn't do it halfway. He goes all in. And that kind of trust can be incredibly dangerous if it's misplaced. I think Rick senses that. And I think Rick is trying to stop something before it's too late. But Sunny dismisses him. And that, to me, feels like the first crack. But what if Rick isn't just worried about Ethan? What if he's worried about something much bigger, something Sunny hasn't even considered yet? Now, let's talk about Sidwell. Because I feel like Sidwell isn't reacting. He's anticipating. And I think, this is just my opinion, I think Sidwell already knows Sunny's trying to build up his forces. That's not something you find out too late. That's something you plan around. And if Sidwell knows, then the next move isn't confrontation. It's division, and that's where Willow comes in. I think Willow being used as a wedge between Sunny and Ethan actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe more sense than anything else we've seen so far. Because Willow isn't an obvious threat. She's not someone Sunny would immediately suspect. She's not someone Ethan would be defensive around. She's the perfect infiltrator. But here's the part that really unsettles me. I don't think Willow would do this willingly. I feel like if this is happening, she's being forced, pressured, manipulated, backed into a corner, and that makes the situation even more volatile, because a reluctant pawn is unpredictable, and if Willow starts planting doubt between Sunny and Ethan, even small doubts, that's all it takes. Because once trust is questioned in Sunny's world, things don't just break, they explode. But what if Willow isn't just creating distance between them? What if she accidentally uncovers something that neither Sunny nor Ethan wants revealed? Now shifting to Lulu and Dante, this storyline feels emotionally heavier to me. I feel like there's something really fragile here. Dante tells Lulu that he went to Cullum to investigate and that he learned something. But I have to be honest, I don't fully believe him. I think there's a chance Dante is bluffing. I think he might be testing Lulu, pushing her, trying to get her to crack. Because Dante isn't just a cop, he's a father. And I feel like part of him already suspects something is wrong, and if Lulu is hiding something, he's going to find it. And that leads us to Rocco. I think this is one of the most intense storylines right now, because if it's true, If Rocco is the one who shot Cullum, then everything changes. Everything. Dante isn't just dealing with a case anymore. He's dealing with his son. And I genuinely don't know what Dante would do. I feel like he'd be torn in a way we haven't seen before. Because on one hand, he's a cop. On the other, he's a father. And those two roles, they don't coexist easily in a moment like this. If Dante learns the truth, I think it could break him. Does he stay silent? Does he turn Rocco in? Does he try to protect him? There's no right answer here. Only consequences. But what if Dante isn't the first one to uncover the truth? What if someone else gets there first and uses it? Now, Britt, this part worries me in a completely different way. Because Britt not being able to take her medication, that's not just a health issue. That's a ticking clock. I feel like her condition returning, especially the hand tremors, could destroy everything she's working on. And the coal synthesis project, that's not something you can mess up. Even one mistake could be catastrophic. And Britt knows that. I feel like Britt is trying to hold it together, but she's running out of time. And I think telling Lucas is just the beginning. Because eventually, Sidwell gets involved. And that makes everything more complicated. Because if Sidwell controls access to Britt's medication, then he controls her. And here's where it gets even darker. I think Britt might learn the truth about Rocco. I don't know how. I don't know when. But I feel like if she does, the stress alone could trigger her condition even faster. So now she's not just physically unstable. She's carrying a dangerous secret. And if Britt breaks under that pressure, what happens to everything she's trying to protect? Now let's talk about Curtis. Because this situation feels more grounded, but no less intense. Curtis warning Isaiah? That wasn't subtle. That was territorial. And I think it says a lot about where Curtis is emotionally. Because even if his relationship with Portia isn't what it used to be, they're still married. And now with Portia pregnant, everything changes. I think Curtis feels like he's losing control. And this is his way of holding on to something. But I also feel like this could push Portia further away. Because being protected isn't the same as being respected. And Isaiah, he's not going to just back off quietly. So now we have tension, jealousy, unresolved feelings, and a baby on the way. That's not stable. That's explosive. Jordan's reaction to someone entering her hospital room, that caught my attention. Because it didn't feel like confusion. It felt like recognition. I think Jordan remembers everything, including who caused the accident. But here's what I find interesting. She's not saying anything, and I think that's intentional. I feel like Jordan is choosing silence. Not because she forgives, but because she's waiting, watching, letting the guilt do the work. And Brooklyn, she feels like she's on the edge. I think she suspects she's responsible. And that kind of guilt, it doesn't stay buried. Eventually, it comes out. And when she tells someone the truth, I think that reaction, the shock, the fear that's going to ripple outward. But what if Brooklyn confesses to the wrong person? What if that truth becomes leverage? Now let's go back to Rocco. Because this moment, him going to Cullum's hospital room, that feels huge. And honestly, terrifying. He brings a pillow. He tries to act calm, normal. But I feel like underneath that, he's panicking. I think Rocco isn't just visiting. I think he's trying to control the situation, maybe even silence it. And Cullum, if he remembers anything, if he has even a small clue, he's not going to let this go. And if Cullum confronts Rocco, I don't think Rocco's ready for that. I think he could break, confess, or worse, make another mistake trying to cover the first one. Okay, this might be a bit bold, but I think Rocco's storyline might become the central emotional conflict of everything happening right now. Not Sonny, not Sidwell, Rocco. Because his secret connects to Dante, Lulu, Britt, possibly even others. And once that truth comes out, it doesn't just affect one storyline. It hits all of them. So now we have a fragile alliance between Sunny and Ethan. A manipulative force in Sidwell. A potential infiltrator in Willow. A father on the verge of discovering the truth. A son hiding something devastating. A woman losing control of her health. A marriage under strain. A victim who remembers everything, and a secret that's about to explode. I don't think this episode is just another chapter. I think it's the beginning of a collapse. And that's just how I see it. I could be wrong. But I feel like something big is coming. Something that's going to force every character to choose sides in ways they're not ready for. And if even one of these secrets comes out at the wrong moment, everything changes. But hey, that's just my perspective. I might be wrong. What do you think is really going on here?